Hey guys, I just wanted to create a video because people on the internet are either going crazy or they are massively trolling Nintendo fans. I came across a video and I'm not going to call out the video or link to the video because it is likely just a trolling attempt, an attempt like, you know how GameSpot likes to take a great game and give it a 7 out of 10 review score, and it produces a lot of traffic to their website in a world where it's hard to stand out with everybody focusing so heavily on OpenCritic or the Metacritic review score averages. And you get these YouTubers as well that take something that's undeniably successful and undeniably popular and getting great review scores and find some way to dismiss it. And the thing that's really been annoying me is this person, and others have mentioned it as well, is that, well, they just like to write off the entire Nintendo Switch because, well, it must be some sort of a scam because you don't see people out in public, kids riding in shopping carts out in public, playing the Nintendo Switch. So they use this to suggest that the whole portability aspect of it is just a gimmick and that people aren't actually using it because everybody sees way more people with mobile phones. Well, about mobile phones are not a niche market. And I'm going to refer to all video game consoles as a bit of a niche market when you compare it to the mobile phone market. The mobile phone market sells over 1 billion units a year. Okay, so the core gaming audience, if it ends up selling, 30, 40 million as uh, an entire base when you combine all the systems, all the dedicated gaming, handhelds and everything, that would be a solid year, but it's a niche compared to the phone market, right? That's a massive market. Now, what they're suggesting is that Nintendo is telling people that this is a mobile device, and it's so therefore it has to compete with mobile phones in terms of how often you see somebody out in public using them. Well, sorry, but that's not what they're doing, and that's ridiculous. Um, when it comes down to it, the Nintendo Switch is mobile. It's referred to as a mobile device, partially because it uses mobile chips. Using mobile chips alone qualifies it as a mobile device because that's the type of chipset it's using. Secondly, it is a mobile device, more so in the handheld mobile space, which is, it's a little bit difficult, but it's a separate market from true mobile gaming, which would be your iPhones and which would have been a segment of the DS market, uh, the more casual market, in my opinion, where they were making some games that, the touch generation titles. I had an aunt who, this was before cell phones became so predominant, who had a DS, but I can tell you she wasn't playing Metroid, she wasn't playing Mario Kart on it. She was playing games targeting her, and there was nothing wrong with it. However, there is a big difference between what the Nintendo Switch is targeting and mobile. For example, if you look at the VGAs that are coming up, which is the annual video game awards, they have two separate categories. They have for mobile or handheld gaming. They have the handheld gaming category, which primarily would have like a Vita or DS. These are dedicated systems that fit in your pocket or they don't fit in your pocket. That's not necessarily what it's intended for. And in fact, all 5 games nominated in that category are either created by or published by Nintendo. And they have a separate category for mobile, and this is a category that has your cell phone games, right? And Nintendo actually has 2 games up for mobile this year. So um, I don't know what more evidence that you need to hear that these are separate markets. And Nintendo is catering to the more mobile market with like the 2DS is very cheap, and I think for that specific SKU of the 3DS is targeting more kids simply due to cost. Not that if you own one and you're an adult, there's nothing doesn't mean you're a kid. It's just that that's the audience that they're selling that to, and that kind of crosses over a little bit. It might be considered in that mobile audience, but I think as human beings, we're intelligent enough to understand that there's a difference between an iPhone and an iPad. An iPad is a mobile device, but it's not on you at all times. You use it more so on the couch when you're or in your bedroom, while your spouse is using the TV or the computer. Um, it's an alternative device, and I think the Switch is more so in line with an iPad in terms of its mobility, rather than an iPhone or rather than a 3DS or a 2DS XL or a 2DS or the new 2DS. Um, and so personally, how do I use my Switch when I'm using it undocked? Um, I kind of like to chill out in bed and at the end of the day, and some people read a book. I like to do a lot of my indie gaming in that scenario. Like when I'm lying down there, um, and I prop up my pillow and pull out my Switch, I'm not playing Doom. I'm looking to play like simpler games. Lately, I've been playing Blaster Master Zero, but I think that's a good uh, element of my gaming lifestyle where I utilize it to play simpler indie type games. And I imagine as Nintendo releases some more 2D platformers, I would play those games in that scenario, but I don't find it to be very functional um, to play uh, a game like Doom. And that doesn't mean that there's no value to having Doom um, available on the undocked handheld, but that game I could see more people that have a spouse, let's say, and it's one television for the family, and the spouse wants to play or wants to watch a movie or um, whatever it may be, tune into CNN, whatever it is they want to do, and you're thinking, man, I'd like to continue playing video games, even though my spouse is using the television. Then you would grab your Switch out of the dock, sit on the couch, and maybe plug in your earbuds, plug in a charger, and there you go. You're rocking out all night long doing your thing. She or he is doing her thing, right? Um, Another scenario where the portability comes into play is in backpacks. Um, if you're not from Generation uh, Y, you're more of a Generation Xer. I think you can identify with the fact that people are carrying backpacks these days with all kinds of technology in it, and either a laptop or an iPad. And now I think that a lot of people are starting to add their Switch to that arsenal. It's not their pocket, but it's definitely their backpack, and they might take it to work and play it during a longer lunch break, or if they have a train ride into work, and so on. Another scenario where the portability comes to play into play is on road trips. Some pretty hardcore people out there probably do take their uh, Xbox One original massive thing with them on their trips. But you're going to see a lot more gamers opting to take something like the Switch along. They can prop it up in tabletop mode, or they can play it in handheld mode, and it's just going to be super convenient. They just grab it, grab the Pro controller and the charger, throw it in a suitcase, and now they've got some entertainment during their downtime. So what this is, this whole idea that you can downplay the Switch by proving that I don't see people playing it out in public, therefore the mobile aspect is some sort of a gimmick. What that is called is straw manning. This is where you basically, or it's a straw man or a red herring as well. It's basically, you see it in politics all the time when the certain analysts or the surrogates for the different candidates come on, and there's something that's really hard hitting against their candidate is being talked about, and they ask questions, and they'll create something else to talk about that isn't relevant, and it'll be something that's easy to prove that they are correct on, so that they can spend 20 minutes talking aggressively and sounding like what they're saying is correct. But unfortunately, in this case, it's a red herring to say that the Switch isn't a mobile phone. You know, uh, just like it would be a red herring to say that your PlayStation 4 isn't a fridge, or your guitar isn't a set of drums. You can prove that unequivocally to be true very quickly. However, since it's not relevant, it's a red herring. That is all I have to say today. Thank you.